Welcome to the ABQ Accent, where catalysts, innovators, and risk takers share what their accent is on their work. Like a spoken accent, we all have an inflection or emphasis on where we put our energy. Join us to learn how these folks are putting their accents to work, building their vision of the future, and how you can get involved. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining the ABQ Accent. I'm Mariah Harrison, your host today, and I have three fabulous guests with me. Again, this is a live studio audience for anybody listening to the podcast or watching the episode. We have company today, and we're very grateful for that. Thank you all for being here. Today we're at, thank you. Today we're at the Spring Volunteer Fest, Civic Connections event put on by the Office of Civic Engagement at the city. And we have, if I remember correctly, we have 16 city departments and about 17 nonprofits that are all tabling in another room outside here, recruiting volunteers, engaging citizens in some way to respond to their needs. And we're grateful for their time too, because the people that might be here on the panel have associates who are out there tabling, providing information to the public. We've had a really great turnout today, not just our tablers, but the public and volunteers, people who might not already be volunteering or already connected to an agency. So it's been a great experience to chat with people at the tables and the public today at the fest. So yay, Spring Fest. At the table here, I have a couple of items from some of those agencies that are tabling. We've got seed packets, we have stickers, we have animal welfare balls for the dogs, and we have bookmarks from Read to the Dogs. And that might relate to one of our guests today. Not to mention a cute little robot sticker from the Nuclear Science Museum. So if you didn't get some goodies today, please do before you go. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guests. These are colleagues that I have at the city that I might not have met or work regularly with, but I know their work, and I hope that you will too. There's so many ways that you guys are engaging the community. We get to hear your stories today, a little bit about you, a little bit about your work. All right. So my first guest today, Carolyn Thompson. She's a volunteer coordinator with Animal Welfare and the Community Engagement Team. She manages the Pet Food Pantry Program, the Youth Internship Program, social media accounts, foster, and supports the foster and volunteer programs.
Correct.
Love it. Not to mention you're a beekeeper.
I'm a beekeeper.
Yeah, eager to hear more about that. Tamara Williams is a paraprofessional at the Erna Ferguson Library. She's been there since fall 2013 and has over 15 years of experience in both academic and public library settings. She coordinates the Read to the Dogs program. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And I used to have chickens.
I love it.
I don't know if that's interesting.
They all have their own personalities. There's a story there too. Yeah. Nikki Peone, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Associate Director over at Department of Senior Affairs, who graciously supporting the introduction of one of our awardees last week. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. So you've been with the city since 2013, 7 years of which have been at the Department of Senior Affairs, and you run several programs, and I want you to talk a little bit about that today. There's 4 specific programs. You also have history and arts and culture, and with United Way. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yay.
The larger sort of picture we want to discuss today is very much in recognition of how volunteers are critical to responding to the needs across our city. They might be with city departments or nonprofits, but what I also want to point out is that in fiscal year 25, the amount of hours that went into our community with volunteer hours was $2.7 million of an economic impact. That says so much about how valuable volunteer time is, but it doesn't quite tell the story of those interactions that those volunteers provide and the services essentially from the heart that they provide in those hours. One other point I just want to make before we go further is that currently the One Albuquerque Volunteers website hosts over 36,000 volunteers that have registered, that are using the page to sign up for volunteer opportunities with your departments and others. And that is with over 500 agencies and city partners. So volunteers make up a really robust piece of our population, and I want to hear more about that. So Carolyn, I'm going to start with you. Talk a little bit about the work that you do, even though I did some highlights. What is your experience these days with the population of volunteers that Animal Welfare has?
We have an amazing group of volunteers. Some have been there very long. We have new volunteers starting every day. At Animal Welfare Department, we have a lot of different options for people to volunteer. You can walk dogs, you can come in and cuddle cats. We also have a food pantry, which is one of my programs that I help to manage. We have some really wonderful volunteers who come in. Our food pantry is Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday, 10 to 2. So our food pantry volunteers come in. We get donations of food at the shelter. We're lucky to get a lot of donations at the shelter. So donation sorting is one of our volunteer opportunities as well. People can come in and sort donations, and whatever we don't use at the shelter, we give out in our food pantry. We get blankets, we get toys, we get treats, we get bedding, food. So we do pack up some of the food, and for people who are in the community and they're struggling to feed their pets, we don't want any pets to go hungry. So we pack that food up, and we have our food pantry. So our volunteers for our food pantry are some of my favorites. They're the ones that I work with, and it's really sweet. We have people come in, they know them from week to week. We're helping them out with food. They actually bring in treats for our volunteers sometimes because they're so thankful that they're getting that help to feed their pets. So they'll come in, and if one of our volunteers is out that week, they'll say, "Where's Teresa? Where's Andy? Where's David?" You know, they get to know each other and they care about them from week to week, and it's a really amazing thing to see. That's one of my favorite volunteer stories, is just watching the interactions between the volunteers and the food pantry recipients.
Mm-hmm. It's a really critical relationship, ultimately, especially if there's recurring people.
It is. We have lots of recurring people. It is meant to be like supplemental help. It's not meant to feed people's pets completely. So people can come in once a week and get food from our food pantry volunteers, and it's a like a Ziploc gallon bag of food. So. And I also noticed that the food pantry recipients that come in are also, they're making friends in line, and we've had people who have come into our food pantry who have asked to come in and volunteer as well. So that's really nice. They're feeling, like we're helping to support them, and they want to support us back. So. That's a really great thing. And on the flip side of that, we've got people who are going out in the community and collecting donations. We've had kids who, for their birthday parties, they'll ask for donations for animal pets, animal shelter pets, instead of birthday presents. So they'll bring in what they collect from their birthday parties, and that's a really sweet thing too. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Really important work.
Thanks.
Maybe tied in a little bit to that, connected in the animal world. Tamara, what can you tell us about the Read to the Dogs program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been overseeing the Read to the Dogs program at the library for about 1.5 years. It's a program for children that can come in. Maybe they're not feeling comfortable with their reading skills. Maybe they're a little unsure. And we have several dog therapy organizations throughout the city that their dogs are involved in, and so if they want to bring their dog in, the kiddos will read to their dog. They can pick out their story, and I've seen in particular one family that comes in every single month with their 2 little boys who were struggling to read at first, but now that they have the dogs there, they've really grown in their confidence, and it's really, really neat to see. So yeah, that's one thing the libraries do. Right now we're ramping up for summer reading program. So we're looking for teen volunteers, ages 13 to 17, to help us hand out prizes and stuff like that for summer reading. So it's really exciting.
Can you tell me briefly how that originated? How did we know that using a situation with young kids and the dogs could help literacy?
Honestly, I'm not really sure what the origins of it are, but it works.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. I think it just calms them down to have the dog beside them, and they can pet the dog if they want to, and the dog isn't going to judge them. It's just going to sit there and listen. And yeah, I don't know what the origins are of it, but somebody knew.
Or maybe somebody just saw in their household. I mean, I'm thinking today about what it would have been nice to have my cat or my dog with me just to relax me before today.
Absolutely.
Can you, or your parakeet? I don't know.
Absolutely, parakeet. Yeah.
But you see it every day working, and that's really
Yeah.
a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And there's more people, more ways to get engaged with that. We'll hear about that too.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tamara. All right, Nikki.
All right.
There's a slew to learn from you. What is on your mind right now with your volunteer population under Senior Affairs?
Sure. Let me tell you a little bit about the volunteer programs through Senior Affairs. Senior Affairs has so many different facets that I think a lot of folks don't know about. What most people know is like we have senior centers. They think Senior Affairs, senior centers. We also have multi-generational centers. So those are like public facing kind of, the obvious, I guess, state the obvious is the centers where we do meal programs. We also do recreation. So we have like fitness, we have standalone fitness facilities. So, I mean, it's a great way to socialize and get engaged, get meals, get fitness, get a lot of different skills and hobbies. So we have that available, but we also have kind of behind the scenes that some folks maybe don't know is we do home services and home chores. So we have folks that need ramps built or that they get citations for a yard cleanup. So seniors that need services across the city, but they need help. They can't do some of these things themselves. So we have some opportunities for that. So that's kind of like behind the scenes. You don't really see that. And the other part is we do home delivered meals. So there is quite a few homebound seniors in our city that can't get to the centers to have a meal. And so we do provide transportation for those seniors to get medical appointments, to go shopping. We also provide meal delivery to those seniors. So that's a really great opportunity as well that people don't really know a lot of these things that we do. So it's good to kind of know what the department does in general, that it's not just the centers that we have. And so with that, the volunteers and programs that we oversee, we have 3 AmeriCorps Seniors programs. And so if you're familiar with AmeriCorps Seniors, those are programs designed for folks that are 55 years and older to engage in specific kind of volunteerism opportunities, if you will. The 3 AmeriCorps Senior programs that we operate under the City of Albuquerque under Senior Affairs are the Senior Companion Program, which is a program that we had a great award recipient. They're able to go into homes to help seniors do light chores, tasks, and just really have that connection with folks. Again, they may be homebound and not be able to get out there and, get meals or engage in a way. And it's really a great opportunity for our senior volunteers to be able to go in and help kind of like their peers. So that's the Senior Companion Program. We also have the Foster Grandparents Program, which is kind of on the other end of the spectrum where the 55 plus seniors get to go into the classroom and they get to help school age kids read or do other things. So it's considered foster grandparents. And we have a lot of APS schools that we go into as well as charter schools. And that is such meaningful work for all the generations. I mean, it really is so important. And then we also have, lastly, is our RSVP program. And that's kind of the bigger AmeriCorps Senior program where we have several stations throughout the city. So for example, the Albuquerque Museum's a station, the Biopark, we have Catholic Charities, different organizations and spots throughout the city where we have volunteers and they're able to get some stipends, they're able to get some mileage, or able to get engaged with different activities at the various venues throughout the city. So that's probably our most popular AmeriCorps Senior program. So overall, we have over 800 volunteers that are engaged in our AmeriCorps Senior programs, which is awesome. I mean, that's a lot of folks that we engage. But then it's like, we were hearing this, like, great, you have these, everyone's calling to help. They're like, we want to help seniors, we want to help the community. And then it's like, well, unless you're 55 or older, we don't really, like, maybe we can help you do this or that. We didn't really have a mechanism in the department to engage folks that were younger or maybe weren't interested in those very specific kind of AmeriCorps, directive opportunities. So it's like, well, what do we do with those folks? Like, they want to help. Let's find a way for them to help. So our director, Ana Sanchez, created an opportunity called Volunteers in Action. So this is a department-led, department-run volunteer program where, and we call it VIA for short, but it's where everything else can kind of get filtered through. So any age, I think we start our volunteers at 14 years of age. They can go to the One ABQ Volunteers website and they can see opportunities that maybe they're interested in. And we have the gamut of things. So we have the one-time events, because maybe people just want to spend an hour or two and they want to like help at a fun event at a senior center, or maybe they want to help at one of our community events. Like, that's cool. They want to just do something, right? And then we have the folks that like want to do more long-term and really get engaged in the department's work. Maybe they want to help at one of the kitchens every day. We have folks that help 40 hours a week, and they want to be there every day helping. And so it's like, we need to create opportunities to allow them to help. We need the help. Our seniors need all these different services, and they need help connecting and engaging. And like, how do we create that? So VIA really is the catch-all where we have everything under the sun, so we can engage what folks are interested in helping with and what we need as a department and our community. I hope that wasn't too much information.
Well, I think it's reflective of the need. What I was just thinking about was when I was back in college, we had population graphs where you could see the aging population growing and growing and growing. So I think what you guys are adapting to is that number of people and amount of need.
Yes.
So really very much.
It is.
And it's
so
great
needed.
to know more that people under 55 can get involved. AmeriCorps is great. It's a term program. It's particular through a grant program, but the VIA is a lot more capable of working with people's time and availability.
It's more broad, and it really does, reflect what the need is in Albuquerque, what the need is in our community, what our senior needs are at the centers to help supplement a lot of the work that we're doing. And so it really helps to create that direct connection, and also gives people flexibility, right? Oh, excuse me. They don't have to kind of be boxed in. And sometimes we find that the AmeriCorps programs are awesome, but sometimes they're not for everybody. And so this allows the flexibility to give people what they want to do or what they're able to do. And I feel like that having that flexibility is really important.
Nice, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And also thank you for mentioning that it's an opportunity on the One ABQ Volunteers page.
Yeah.
People can find any of this, what we're discussing, really easily to get involved. Let's drill down a little bit, Carolyn. Maybe you have an example of a volunteer that you think has made a special difference in an animal's life individually, or a program. Is there a story you want to share about how a volunteer responded to what you guys needed or see as a need?
One of our biggest needs right now, being springtime, is kitten volunteers. We have lots of baby kittens coming in without their mothers. So people will see litters of kittens and their mom will be off in the bushes or off hunting or off getting a drink of water somewhere. So if you see baby kittens somewhere, leave them, put a ring of flour around them so that you can see if the mama's footprints come in and out of the ring of flour. That way you know that she's there somewhere caring for them. Because the mama is the best person to care for those kittens. And if they're brought into the shelter, that's, people think they're doing a good thing, and they really are. But it's separating them from their mama, and then it's creating a need. But our volunteers are filling that need. We have volunteers who are feeding those kittens. They need round-the-clock feeding from a bottle or a syringe with kitten milk. So at Albuquerque Animal Welfare Department, we have a neonatal nursery where we have volunteers, we have incubators where the kittens go. We have some recliners so the volunteers can come in, sit down in a recliner, put an apron on, get a little bottle, pick up a kitten, and help this kitten survive because it's going to need milk every 2 or 3 hours.
Wow.
On top of that, they need care overnight. So our foster program kicks in then. Last night we had 17 kittens come into the shelter yesterday. So we sent them out with our volunteers who took them home, fed them every 2 hours overnight. So it's really, if there's nobody there to feed those kittens aren't going to be fed and they're not going to make it. So that's one of our huge needs right now and a really sweet thing to see happening, people coming together to feed these little baby kittens or puppies at the shelter and at their homes.
I'm just imagining how cozy that neonatal area is.
It's lovely. Yeah, it's a great place to volunteer. It really is. I mean, the whole shelter is a great place to volunteer. Dog walking, we've got the big play yards out back where volunteers can take the dogs, cat cuddling in any of the areas. We've got an exotics room where we have birds, snakes, rabbits, guinea pigs, all kinds of different animals. And in our West Side shelter, sometimes we have farm animals too that people can volunteer with.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And more dogs and cats and kittens over there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tamara, do you have some stories about maybe what's going on with Read to the Dogs or at the libraries in general that you're seeing with volunteer population?
Yeah, so I mentioned the family that comes in every month. That's a great story, but ramping up for summer reading, like I mentioned already, we have hundreds of people that come to the library to sign up for our summer reading program. It's for all ages, so we need those volunteers. Last year we had a really good group, about 10 to 12 teenagers that helped us get people signed up for the program and then pass out prizes. So that's always a need, and it's really fun to see the teenagers start out really shy when summer reading starts, and then a couple months down the line they kind of come out of their shell and start interacting with the community members, and it's lovely to see that and see them grow.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the summer reading program. What is entailed?
So just reading. It's
They
really,
can just come
we make
in
it really easy on you. We
Okay.
have different age ranges. There's children, and then teens, tweens, and then adults. So all you have to do is read. We'll give you a reading log, and then you'll come in and we'll mark your progress for you. And as you get closer to your goals, you get prizes.
Also for adults?
Just for reading, also for adults,
Okay.
all ages. So anybody. Yeah, it's really cool. We had hundreds of people sign up last year,
That's really sweet.
just at our branch. So it was very busy.
At Erna Ferguson, hundreds of people sign up for summer reading.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, absolutely. We have programs all throughout the summer that are all free for people to come and enjoy, all ages. I'm doing like a paracord keychain program. We have a kickoff that happens the first weekend in June. It's a really big, huge thing, and it's all free. So it's a really neat program.
June prizes for reading. Just kidding. I'm seriously going to sign up. It might give me some great incentive. And maybe that's sort of a follow-up question is, if more people are getting engaged in just the act of reading, and maybe reading as a community with youth, or they know other people are participating in that, do you think there's a ripple effect in our larger community for people that are partaking in reading as a whole?
Absolutely. I mean, it's bringing people into the libraries, first of all. I think a lot of people don't know about the free services that we offer. There's so many things that the library can provide. So just getting them in the door, I think, is the first step. And then they kind of realize, oh, the library. I love it when they come in for a library card and they're, is it free? Yes, it's absolutely free. And they get so excited, their eyes light up, and it's just really fun to provide that.
Nice. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Are any of you else thinking about elementary school when you had like your book list? Or like, maybe I'm dating myself, but when like the van would show up with all the books and prizes, what was that called?
Scholastic Book Fair.
Like a book fair. Like it really creates memories that I think are feel good, and I hope it's a ripple effect in their lifetime too.
Yeah, Book It, Pizza Hut. I don't know, maybe that dates me.
Yeah.
I love
You remember that? Book It?
Pizza.
Okay.
We feel you there.
That's great.
Nikki, let's talk a little bit about how you're raising awareness for all of those volunteer opportunities that you have. What is Senior Affairs how do you engage people, and how do you help them understand what the need is?
Well, I think, Senior Affairs, again, we are lucky to have a lot of public-facing centers, so we really try to utilize those as much as possible. And I think people see it. If they frequent a center, they're going to see, the manager there, and they're going to learn about some of the deficiencies, and we're going to ask, hey, you're here every day helping with fitness, we need help filling a class, and we'll get volunteers to help. So we always have people wanting to help, which is really, really great. But for the behind the scenes stuff, we use One ABQ volunteers. We also do a lot of outreach. So our team does a lot of outreach, different tabling events, things like that. We use websites, newsletters. A lot of our population, they do not like to necessarily be online. So we really try to make media for everyone, so we can get the word out and also engage with various layers, I guess you would say. One of the things that I think is really hard to solicit for, that I wish we could find more ways to do it, is kind of our high need areas. So we have, again, the centers are easy, right? You see there's an event, I want to be a part of it, or I see that there's these things there, and it's easy to kind of know what types of things that maybe you can get involved with. But then we have the behind the scenes stuff that you don't even know that we do, and it's well, how do we let people know? So some of the things that we always need, which is really interesting, is drivers. So we need driver volunteers all the time. We do a lot of field trips, a lot of different types of activities for seniors. Again, we even do transportation. And we have to have, with the city, you have to have a city operator's permit. And so it's kind of like extra layers of training and authorization that you have to go through in order to drive the city vehicles. So that can be hard because not everyone's up for driving, but if we could really engage folks, and I know we do have that on the One ABQ volunteers site, if we can make that sell a little bit more, because that is a really high need area. I would say the other areas are the kitchens. Again, behind the scenes, they're at the centers, we're serving meals, we do breakfast, lunch times at the centers, but really just helping seniors, get their plate sometimes or clear. Those are seem like easy things, but they're not always easy for seniors to be able to do that, or they need just a little bit of help, or even just having that interaction really adds value to both parties. And so those are always things that we need, is kitchen help. And I would say the last thing that also is really hard to kind of advertise more behind the scenes is we have a lot of seniors who have homes that get different yard citations. And I think I mentioned that earlier. And it's well, what does that mean? I mean, if you're getting these citations from the city, but you can't physically go outside, or you can't pay a service to go and pull the weeds, or they're overgrown, or things like that. And so we need folks, all ages, to come and help. We can schedule them to go and help just do some light chores in the yard so they can avoid those citations and get the help that they need without having to pay for it out of pocket.
That particular opportunity is really interesting because there's a before and after experience. I've been to one of those where you go to the home and you see the weeds or the situation at the beginning, and then at the end of the situation you see the after, and it's really a visual response to how impactful it is for that particular senior.
Sounds satisfying.
Sure.
Satisfying.
Yes.
Immediate gratification.
Yeah, with your hands, get your hands dirty, get some blood going.
And it reminds you how much hard work it is, right?
It is hard work. Yeah.
It's hard work, but it's such a need, and there's so many folks that need it. So I think those are areas that we always need help soliciting. So even though we spread the word as much as we can, sometimes because we can't see it, it's hard to kind of get folks to get engaged in that. So we keep chipping away at it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And as a reminder, we'll put some links up to the description so that people can find you easily and maybe some of these highlighted needs. We are running out of time, so I want to limit it to 2 quick questions. Something you guys brought to my attention earlier is that departments often work together on volunteer programs or responding to some sort of a need. Can you give me an example of how you work together as departments?
Our department has actually worked with both of these departments. You were talking about senior affairs food deliveries, and I was talking about our pet food pantry. We do, when senior affairs delivers their meals, 1 time a month, they'll take pet food also, which we bag up at the shelter. They have your drivers come over and pick it up and take it out to help seniors feed their dogs and cats. And then also we had a presentation board at one of the libraries with one of our adoptable dogs on it, and it was at the International Library. Just information, the dog's bio, his cute picture. They let us put it up there, and that dog got adopted. I believe it was one of the librarians that had adopted that dog. So we've worked in collaboration with both these departments, and we're appreciative.
Yeah, same. I mean, it's such a need. You know, again, a lot of our homebound seniors, they can't get out because they're homebound seniors, and it's really hard for them to get out. And also they're limited on, on their funds. And so to be able to identify those folks that are struggling, like they have pets, but are struggling to feed their animals as well, I mean, it's really needed. And so the partnership with animal welfare has just, grown it. I mean, we would love to keep growing it, and we still will continue to do that, but it's been really valuable for everyone in the community, so we appreciate it.
Good point. Thank you. So on our last note, I'll let anybody who wants to take this. We're talking about responding to the needs of the community, that volunteers play a role in that. But what are volunteers getting out of this experience? There's got to be a way, not to quantify, but to describe what you see maybe as the feedback from your volunteers in the experience that they have in supporting these initiatives, and maybe how it's helping them get through some of these harder days.
Animal welfare can be a very difficult place to work. It really pulls on your heartstrings. But my office is where, in the community engagement office, where a lot of the volunteers come through as they're volunteering during the day. And you see a lot of difficult things working there, a lot of really hard stories. But watching those volunteers come through our department with the dog that they're taking out, I can think of a couple different instances. We had this tiny little Chihuahua in the middle of winter, and one of our volunteers brought it up. We have a bin of sweaters there, and he was out in his kennel, shivering. So she brought him up, and she was going through the bin of sweaters to fit a sweater on him. And I was sitting at my desk, going through my emails, and I could just see her out there. And it was such a joy to watch that. And I'm sure it was lovely for her to get to help that pet. We also sent a dog who has been at our shelter for a while. If anybody's looking for a great dog, his name is Georgie, and he's been there far too long. But this weekend, he is out at a slumber party weekend. And so the foster who came to pick him up was telling me that she had just made him some chicken and rice, and she was going to take him to his favorite Mexican restaurant patio so he could take a nap on the patio. So I think that, the volunteers are helping our animals, but they're also getting a lot from snuggling those kittens or, helping those dogs and going out for a walk and being in the play yard with the dogs for a while. We're also right along one of the city golf courses, so our volunteers can walk the dogs out on the golf course on Lomas. So just being out in the fresh air, walking a dog who may not have been out for a couple days is, I'm sure it's really, it's a good thing for them as well.
You're making a connection, right?
Yeah.
I would add to that, we hear all the time, we have senior volunteers as well as all ages, but I would really say from our senior volunteers, it gives them purpose. It gets them out every day, it gets them going. it gives them a reason. You know, a lot of times maybe they've had a spouse that's passed away, or they don't have any family. And it's like, who do they connect with? That human connection is so important, and it's invaluable. And, you know, even helping, you know, once a week or an event, it gives them something to look forward to, and not only lifts their spirits, but also whoever they're connecting with. So just having that human connection, especially during hard times or down times, we hear it all the time. It keeps them going, it keeps them healthy, and that is the whole mission of Senior Affairs, is keeping folks in their homes, keeping them healthy. And so we do that, the volunteers help tremendously by creating that connection with folks.
Yeah. That's a good way to sort of round it all up, is that it one word for it is building purpose, or determining a purpose for somebody. Volunteers tend to get invested where they volunteer, and they become champions of the work and build community. And I think that it adds to longevity for both the volunteer and whoever they're receiving the service from.
Agree.
Absolutely.
Ladies, thank you so much for your time today. There's so much more we could do, but I think this was a great sort of arc to our story about how there's so many ways to get involved in volunteerism across the city, and your city departments are excellent representation of leadership in volunteer coordination and understanding the need for your community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate your support.
For sure, anytime. And the podcasters, anybody who's listening, will be supporting you as well, we hope. We want to hear back from anybody who's volunteering with you. That'd be awesome. And we hope more people come back for another ABQ Accent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for our audience.